What's up everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today's project is something that I've been wanting to make for a long time, which is we're gonna make us a shop-made veneer press. Now a veneer press is essentially just an easy way to glue boards together. Let's start off with the particular clamps that we're gonna be using to make this. These are the clamps I'm gonna be using for my project. I'm gonna be using 2 of these. Now you can buy as many of these as you want and make your veneer press as big as you want. But it's pretty simple. We've got a handle here with a screw. We've got a mounting plate so we can mount this into a top frame. And then we have the bottom part here, which basically smashes all of our stuff together. I found these online, so I'll put a link in the description below to them. That way you can look closer at them and see if there's something that you want to use for a project in your shop. In order to have a really good veneer press, we need to have a really flat base. So I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting up some MDF, and we're essentially gonna make us a really tasty MDF sandwich. The base of our clamp is going to be 2 pieces of 3/4 inch MDF. That is going to be nice and hefty and flat. Gluing this together is showing exactly why I need a veneer press, because if I had a veneer press, wouldn't this be easier? Now it's time to do the other half. Got the panels glued up, and these things are hefty, so they're gonna work out really good. Now, the next step is we need to build the wooden frame for the clamps. That's pretty straightforward. We're just gonna make 2 big size U's. We'll have 2 posts that come up and a cross beam, and that will have our clamps on it. So let's go over to the scrap wood room, see what we can find. I found some oak, so I went ahead and milled that all up to its final thickness. So I'm looking at about 1.5 inches thick and about 2 inches wide. Absolutely plenty for what we're gonna do here. So we're gonna use these for the posts and then the cross beam here. So we're gonna start with the posts. Now the posts are gonna be mortise and tenon into the base. So I'm gonna go over to the table saw and I'm gonna cut an 1-inch long tenon on the bottoms of each of my posts, and then we'll come back and worry about doing the mortises. Now that the mortises are marked, I'm gonna get out the router and we're gonna route these out. After routing out the mortises, I used some chisels to clean it all up, and those posts fit in there perfectly. Now I get to work on that beam that goes all the way across. What I did was I placed a mark here on the top, and that's about 1 inch in from the inside, and I can place my beam on top of that, put it where the mark is, mark that, and now I know that's where I need to cut it. Now that's gonna be the total length, including the tenon. Then I'll still have to cut the tenons on each side. Now when I start getting towards the shoulder of that tenon, I'm gonna sneak up on it and just do multiple cuts until I get that shoulder perfectly aligned with my post. Nice. Let's cut the mortises. I dry assembled the whole thing. It all looks really good. Now I'm not gonna glue it up just yet because it's gonna be way easier to drill the holes for the clamps now than after I glue all this up and it's just one big piece. Let's talk about clamps for just 1 second. The plan is to put 1 clamp per beam right in the center. So I did a test. How much clamping pressure can I get radiating from the foot of that clamp? And what it came out to was about 5 to 6 inches, it seemed, in all directions from the clamp, which to me is pretty good. It's actually a little bit better than I expected. So if I put them right in the center, based off the width and the length of my jig here, it should be plenty. But then I started thinking, what's better than 2 clamps? More than 2 clamps. So instead, I'm gonna do 2 clamps per beam, 4 total. I'm gonna get plenty of clamping pressure. As far as the distance goes for the clamps, it really doesn't matter as long as your clamp heads don't hit each other. So if I put them like, I don't know, something like this, I know I got plenty of space to turn them. That'll be pretty good. This is what the clamp bracket looks like. So I'm gonna drill a hole in there so this fits up in there. While I'm gluing this up, let me give a big shout out to our superhero community over on Patreon. If you want to be a superhero yourself, just like Martin Eden did, then head on over to Patreon or hit that join button. Either way works out and it helps out the channel tremendously, but also you'll get some extra stuff like behind the scenes, sneak peeks, extra videos, all kinds of goodies. I let the glue dry, then sanded everything down, ran it over all of the edges so everything is nice and smooth. Now comes the exciting part. I'm gonna first apply wax to the whole thing just to make sure that any of the glue that squeezes out doesn't stick to it permanently. And then we're gonna test it. Well, we did our test, so let's see how it turned out. Nice even clamping, no gaps, perfect seam. This is exactly what I was wanting out of this thing. I'm really happy. I just encountered one issue. When I was doing the clamping, I got some stress fractures along the edges where the tenons are mortised into the MDF. And that's because MDF is really dense and hard when you're pushing down on the surface, but the edges are really soft. And I just wasn't thinking, I should have gave myself a little bit more room out from where I did those tenons. So because of that, this design is a failure.
You fool! You fell victim to one of the classic blunders.
But super easy fixable. Give me 1 second. There, exactly what I was looking for. Now when I do it, rock solid. I can't wait to put this to use. Hopefully you enjoyed the video and hopefully you will get in the shop and make something similar to this. Just avoid the mistakes that I did. And until we meet again, get in your shop and build something awesome.